Hello, and welcome all to Movie Hunter, the show that tracks down the quality of all sorts of movies. My name is Hunter, and today in the 60th episode, our target is Isle of Dogs. Produced by 20th Century Fox Animation, Indian Paintbrush, American Empirical Pictures, Studio Babelsberg, Scott Rudin Productions, and 3 Mills Studios, and distributed by Fox Searchlight Pictures. In October of 2015, director Wes Anderson announced a return to the form of animation after his 2009 film Fantastic Mr. Fox, in a new film about dogs. While Fantastic Mr. Fox was in development, Wes Anderson was inspired by a sign that he saw in England that read Isle of Dogs. He was further inspired by the films of filmmakers Akira Kurosawa and Hayao Miyazaki, as well as the 1982 animated film The Plague Dogs and the Disney film 101 Dalmatians. In October of 2016, production began in East London at 3 Mills Studios. 12 sculptors worked 6 days a week to make about 2,000 faces, 1,105 animatable puppets, and 2,000 more puppets to serve as background characters, with the main characters' puppets taking about 2 to 3 months. Over 200 handmade settings were created as well, and a number of people on the design team had also worked on Fantastic Mr. Fox. The film released on March 23, 2018 in the United States, on March 30, 2018 in the United Kingdom, and on May 10, 2018 in Germany. The film made $73 million, a bit more than Wes Anderson's only other animated feature, Fantastic Mr. Fox. It was directed by Wes Anderson, who also wrote the screenplay, and the story was by Wes Anderson, Roman Coppola, Jason Schwartzman, and Kunichi Kamura. It was produced by Wes Anderson, Scott Rudin, Stephen Rails, and Jeremy Dawson. The cinematographer was Tristan Oliver, and the music was by Alexandre Desplat. It was edited by Andrew Weisblum, Ralph Foster, and Edward Birch. The cast includes Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Bob Balaban, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, Koyu Rankin, Kunichi Nomura, Akira Takayama, Liev Schreiber, F. Murray Abraham, Tilda Swinton, Scarlett Johansson, and Greta Gerwig. The film begins in the year 2038, when an outbreak of canine flu occurs in the fictional Japanese city of Megasaki. The mayor, Kenji Kobayashi, banishes all dogs to Trash Island, despite Professor Watanabe claiming that he is close to a cure. 6 months later, the mayor's nephew, Atari Kobayashi, flies a plane to Trash Island, now called the Isle of Dogs, in search of his dog and bodyguard, Spots, who was also the first dog deported to the island. Upon crash landing, Atari is rescued by a pack of 5 dogs, who dub him the Little Pilot. The pack is led by Chief, who was a stray before being brought to the Isle of Dogs, and the other members are Rex, Boss, Duke, and King. Unable to speak his language, the pack is able to piece together that Atari is looking for his dog Spots, and they lead him to a cage with a skeleton of a dog who they think to be Spots given his collar, having died in the cage since no one let him out. However, they soon realize that it isn't him, and though Chief is against it, he is outvoted, and the pack stops the rescue team of robots from taking Atari home. Further being outvoted, Chief and the pack take Atari to Jupiter and Oracle, 2 dogs who seem to know the future, though in reality, Oracle's just unable to understand TV. Oracle tells the pack that Spots might have been captured by an isolated pack of dogs who are rumored to be cannibals. Meanwhile, Professor Watanabe discovers a cure for the canine flu, but the mayor refuses to have the dogs returned. Under the orders of Major Domo, Watanabe is placed under house arrest and is fed sushi that is poisoned, killing him, but they tell everyone that it was suicide. Elsewhere, an American exchange student named Tracy Walker suspects a conspiracy and begins investigating with the other students. It is revealed to us that Mayor Kobayashi and his political party intentionally caused an outbreak of canine flu in order to exterminate all dogs, like Kobayashi's ancestors failed to do 1,000 years ago. On the search for Spots, Atari and Chief are separated from the pack, where the two bond and Atari gives Chief a bath, revealing that his all-black fur is actually all white with black spots, bearing a similar resemblance to Spots. The pack reunites where another rescue team of robots tries to take Atari, as well as kill the pack protecting him. But they are saved when Spots suddenly arrives with a pack of dogs who were thought to be cannibals, but aren't. Spots reveals that he is Chief's older brother, and also tells how this pack of thought-to-be cannibals saved him, taking him to this abandoned secret lab that was used to run tests on them. Spots became their leader, and also married a dog named Peppermint, who is pregnant. Being a leader and a soon-to-be father, Spots requests that Chief be Atari's new bodyguard, which Chief eventually accepts. When word reaches them that the mayor plans to kill all dogs using poisonous gas when he is re-elected, Atari and the dogs build boats to return to Megasaki. Meanwhile, Tracy tracks down Yoko Ono, who worked for Professor Watanabe, and is able to confirm her conspiracy theory, and is also able to give her the last vial for the cure for the canine flu. The mayor is about to release the poisonous gas when Tracy and the other students burst into the room and present the evidence of his corruption. The mayor prepares to have her deported, but then Atari and the dogs arrive and prove that the cure works by using it on Chief. Atari then leads a haiku he wrote and dedicated to his uncle, detailing the long-lost friendship between humans and dogs. Realizing he was wrong, the mayor abandons his plans, only for Major Damo to try and initiate it still, ensuing in a brawl between Atari, the dogs, the mayor, and his political party. In the brawl, Atari and Spots are both injured, with Kobayashi agreeing to give Atari a kidney to save his life. 1 month later, the mayor and his party have been arrested, Atari is the new mayor, and the dogs have been reintegrated into society. Firstly, let's talk about Chief and Atari. With the exception of 2 characters who I'll talk about in a minute, I like all the characters in this movie, and Chief and Atari are no exception. Chief, with the great voice of Bryan Cranston, is a fun character to follow. The fact that he was a stray before all the dogs were exiled makes him a lot more tough than the other dogs, and makes for a natural leader among them. I also like his arc where he learns to like humans. It's a little bit predictable, but it still works, I think. And Atari makes for a fun adventurer to follow, as the dogs guide him across the Isle of Dogs, while also being very capable himself, wielding a slingshot that he constantly uses. I also really like how the dogs refer to him as the Little Pilot, which is not only a fun name, but is also brought about by the fact that the dogs speak English, while all the humans speak Japanese, with one exception that we will get to. Anyway, Chief and Atari are both fun characters to follow, and as the protagonists of the film, they fit the bill really well. However, while I like the characters separately, I think that their relationship with each other is a major misstep the movie makes. Like I mentioned, I do like the idea of Chief's character arc being learning to care for Atari, even if it is a bit predictable. But they really drop the ball when it comes to the transition of Chief going from not wanting to help Atari to protecting him. The two get separated from the pack for a little bit, forcing them to spend some one-on-one time, which is actually quite sweet. We get to see a bit of Chief's barriers being broken down by Atari. However, the problem arises when this scene is quickly over with, and it seems like Chief has done a complete 180. Obviously, this should be the end result, but it doesn't feel like that. Instead, it feels like the movie is split between the time before Chief liked Atari and the time when he did, rather than the gradual process that it should have been. Overall, Chief and Atari still make for amazing protagonists, but I do still wish that the main arc of the film was more fleshed out. Now, let's quickly talk about the other dogs in the film. Starting with the rest of the pack, I will admit I really wish we got more moments with them and got to see a bit more uniqueness out of each of them. But as is, they're still a positive addition to the film. Each of them are played by actors who are quite well-known collaborators of Wes Anderson, and as such, it can be a bit difficult to not just see them as the actors that play them to a certain extent. Firstly, we have Edward Norton's character Rex, who is by far the most important of them because of his constant challenging of Chief's ideas, leading to a vote, and Chief usually being outvoted. Bob Balaban plays King, who was the face of a dog food brand that all the dogs seem to really like, which actually leads to a couple of fun moments, like when Chief tries it for the first time. Jeff Goldblum plays Duke, who constantly shares rumors with the pack that have varying levels of truthfulness. I think he's the funniest character, probably, just because I find it really humorous that he knows all these rumors, despite the fact that he only ever goes where the pack goes. Finally, Bill Murray plays Boss, who used to be the mascot of a high school basketball team. I feel like he has the biggest missed opportunity of these characters because I really can't remember much he did or said specifically. They could have made him really good at fighting or something given his athletic background, but it is what it is, I guess. Overall, these dogs aren't the best side characters in the world and definitely could have gone with some better fleshing out, but at the end of the day, there are far worse examples of unnecessary side characters that I've seen. From there, we have Spots, Atari's dog that he goes looking for in the first place. He mostly serves the purpose of being the one they're searching for. However, when he is actually on screen, I think he has a really nice and simple character, and I especially like the scenes where he first meets Atari and the scene where he is introduced to the group of dogs who are rumored to be cannibals. I also think that his passing of responsibilities to Chief is well done and makes sense. Lastly, I just want to mention Jupiter and Oracle, whose very concept is just really funny to me. Dogs that are praised for knowing the future, but in reality just watch TV. It makes me wish we got to meet more various dogs throughout the film. Other than that very minor complaint though, I think all the dog characters were put to pretty good use. I do still wish the main pack of dogs had more scenes interacting with one another and put a better focus on their friendships, but still, it was entertaining. Finally, that brings us to the other human characters. First and foremost is the single greatest downfall of the entire film. If you've seen the film before, you probably have a pretty good guess of who this character is. This character is, of course, Tracy, the foreign exchange student. Firstly, the fact that she is a foreign exchange student from America has absolutely no bearing on the plot, and exclusively causes problems to the film. It's pretty lame because all of the human characters except her speak Japanese, because the film takes place in Japan, which is not only something I found to be pretty neat, but was also a very clear and creative way of showing that the dogs and humans cannot understand each other, given that the dogs speak English. Secondly, every bit of charm that there was with Atari as the protagonist is completely lost with Tracy. She has no strong character motivation or charm or anything really, and only feels included in the film so that Atari and the dogs can get the cure to the canine flu, but all the entertainment value is gone. Finally, she also develops a random crush on Atari during her research into the conspiracy, a character who she never meets until the finale, and someone who doesn't meet her until the finale, and doesn't know that she exists until then. The film's ending shows that they're together, though, for some reason. What an unnecessary and forced romance. Speaking of which, a character I've yet to mention and have purposely delayed in doing so is Nutmeg. Nutmeg is, get this, Tracy's dog, who Chief meets once and similarly develops a crush on that is not expanded upon at all, but is nonetheless followed through by in the ending. Nutmeg is similarly completely unnecessary to the plot, not doing anything of note at all, so much so that I didn't even mention her in the summary of the film. Other than that though, the human characters get better, but not by much unfortunately. The villain and Atari's uncle, Kobayashi, was a good villain for the majority of the film, with the funny explanation that he comes from a long line of cat supremacists. Kobayashi sending all the dogs away was a good and interesting enough way to get the story started, while also adding an extra element of intrigue with the corruption and propaganda aspects. This is made all the more interesting when Watanabe creates a cure but is assassinated, but it's blamed as a suicide, And we also learn that Kobayashi caused the canine flu infestation so that he could justify killing all the dogs. However, it's in the finale that this only really starts to fall apart. After Atari recites his haiku, Kobayashi has a change of heart, turning on his political party. This is a complete 180 for the character that I found to be an interesting direction, but one that was not hinted at or developed at all. This scene leads to the villain becoming the Major Damo, who is a character that might as well have been a background character until this point, which leads to a very anticlimactic final fight. What's so disappointing is that this could have been fixed by just erasing Tracy from the film. Take that time and put it towards Kobayashi's relationship with Atari and developing Major Damo, and then have Watanabe's assistant be the one to bring forth the cure. This is such a simple fix that not only tightens the main plot, but also improves upon the characters and their roles in it. As is, though, this element is the single thing keeping the film from being a 10 out of 10. I give Isle of Dogs a 9 out of 10 for being an endlessly creative movie with a great concept and a mostly amazing execution, making for a phenomenal experience. The stop-motion animation is gorgeous, of course, and probably even more so than Fantastic Mr. Fox. The characters have a lot of wit and charm, and the adventure is just so much fun. For those unaware, Fantastic Mr. Fox was originally a children's book by Roald Dahl, and that is absolutely felt through the charm of that film. That same charm is absolutely felt here, and I was shocked to discover that it wasn't based on a book by the same author, with this film's inclusion of dedicated parts feeling like a nod to the book. An amazing time overall that I can't recommend enough, but at the same time it's hard to not be disappointed that the film was so close to a 10 out of 10, but lacked the development between Atari and Chief, and especially the blunder that was the Tracy character, unfortunately drags it down to a 9. Still though, definitely worth the watch, and I'm really glad that I finally decided to check it out. Well, that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and feel free to share any opinions you had on the movie. A new episode releases each week, so stay tuned to see which film I cover next. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.